Shameless.
United in the Europa League. Europa League. Let me tell them one time and we say Europa League.
What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another edition of Matchday Reloaded here, live as it can get in Panenka Studios. Yes, it feels good to actually be able to open an edition of Matchday Reloaded with a positive note. Last time, of course, I couldn't start the show by going live here in Panenka Studios because we were on a bit of a down. We were on a bit of a down after the weekend, and we saw what we wanted to see yesterday, and that is Manchester United bounce back. We saw Manchester United respond. We saw character. We saw just a general reaction, didn't we, from Manchester United yesterday at Old Trafford, defeating Real Betis 4-1 in the first leg of the Europa League last of 16 tie. Obviously, next week we go out there to, I think it's in Seville, Betis, and you would argue we're already 1 foot firmly in the quarterfinals. And not that the pressure's off next week, because we have shown, particularly in the last 7 days or so, that we're not beyond losing by a heavy margin and a large amount. So we can't say that the games and the tie rather is completely over. But last night we did what we had to do. And to be honest, I say the final result was 4-1. It could have and maybe should have been a lot more, a lot bigger, a lot higher than that. We had plenty of chances last night, a significant amount of chances to get even more goals, and it wasn't the total complete performance. I think that's fair to say. I think second half we were excellent, and Real Betis really they fell apart in the second half. Oh, we know what that's like, but we started off the game brightly, and then we got a little bit closer to half time, and they score a goal that, there's parts to break down in it, and we will. And then just before halftime, we kind of rode our luck. We could have, and maybe should have, gone in at halftime 2-1 down. But as has been the case a lot this season, and to be honest, yesterday's game was just kind of typical of what we've really seen since the World Cup with Manchester United, is that for the majority of the game, pretty bright, but get to halftime, maybe level or behind, and Erik ten Hag has to do a bit of a turnaround, a bit of a rah-rah speech, and then we see a completely different performance second half. I mean, to be honest, the only real difference between yesterday's game and Sunday is that on Sunday, there was complete no reaction. They just fell apart and they collapsed. They conceded 6 goals in one half. Yesterday, we got what we expected to see after halftime, and that was a reaction. And we scored 3 goals because of it. And United, as I say, are near enough, you would think, already close to being in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, a competition that we are considered favourites to, or one of the favourites certainly to win it. Still big teams, tough opponents left in it, but we can't look too far ahead because, of course, we've got that second leg next week. Let's see what everyone's saying in the chat as well as people begin to file in. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Very snowy. It's Friday the 10th of March, and it's very snowy around the UK. I woke up to snow this morning. A lot of people, I think, did as well. You can let me know where you're watching around the world. We've got such a global community here at United View. As always, let me know where you're watching from. Just Kevin, one of our members, says Bruno played like someone with a point to prove. Steve says, well done, great win. Daniel Luciano says, morning, Match Reloaded, as always, my favourite show. Well, thank you very much, Daniel Luciano, one of our members there as well. Wayne says, good morning, all. V Cobra, or Jello Pyro there saying, good morning, happy Friday indeed. V Cobra saying, good morning, everyone. Kristen says, nope, raining here in Colchester. Wow. Where I am this morning, I was met with a sheet of snow outside my window. It was particularly cold as well last night. I mean, some of the fan views, of course, we're going to have all of the reaction from the guys inside UVHQ, outside of UVHQ, outside of Old Trafford. Flex was actually pitchside at Old Trafford. Marcel was braving the elements out there at outside OT in Manchester last night too. And again, if you ever question the commitments and the work that these guys put in, my goodness me, the conditions were conditioning last night. The snow was coming down, but it was one of those like horrible sort of blizzardy, it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice at all. And yes. Lots of people saying pouring rain. Where I am, there is indeed snow this morning. But we've got people watching from Ghana. We've got Tanzania, Nairobi, Kenya. Wayne says snowing in Blackburn. Yes, I think the further south you get this morning in the UK, the more snow the more rain rather you get. But certainly as you get further north, there is quite a bit of snow today in March of all times. But I remember a couple of years ago, It's when I was at uni, but I remember a few years ago, it was like April or like late March, early April, and there was like snow, and then the next week it was like completely incredible weather. So, weather view this morning. Yeah, I should have had. I mean, I am on a green screen. I could have had like as you can see, if imagine this was a map, and I went if in these areas you can see here, we're going to get a nice easterly breeze coming in there, and that's actually going to be coming from actually over in the Atlantic, and that's going to be pushing over. And we're going to be getting some high pressures, maybe some rain. As you get further up north in the British Isles, that will turn to snow, sleet, and it might be difficult. So be sure to make sure you grit your pathways and make sure you go careful on the road. I tell you what, not bad. I can get better at it. Yeah. Anyway, let's get some reaction from the manager and the players after the game. Starting with Marcus Rashford, who of course kicked off the goals for United yesterday. Goal scorers were Marcus Rashford in the 6th minute. Again, we went into half-time at 1-1. We were fortunate not to be 2-1 down. We're going to be talking about players on an individual basis as always. But after half-time, United really pulled ahead with Anthony first getting the 2nd goal. A traditional, classic, trademark Anthony goal. Cut inside, whipped into the top corner. Bruno Fernandes makes it 3 with a header from a Luke Shaw corner. And Wout Weghorst gets his first goal at Old Trafford after a McTominay shot was blocked after great work from Facundo Pellistri, and Weghorst gets his goal. And you just saw, you saw how much it meant to Old Wout there, certainly. Now, player reaction. Marcus Rashford after the game said, quote, "It's always important to win the next fixture after a loss. It's the only way to bounce back and continue the momentum we had before the game. We always try to start quick and a goal always helps that. I think we defended the box well in the first half, but the second half it opened up more as to be expected with the game 1-1. We started well in both halves and yeah, it's important to try and score the goals and that's the difference." As a forward, talking about Weghorst, he gets joys from scoring goals and he works hard and does all the other stuff, but he wants to score goals. And you could tell, certainly, with the Weghorst goal last night, it wasn't just him. I mean, he was particularly, the emotion was flowing out of him like that sleet in the Manchester sky. It was flowing out of him, and you saw how much it meant to him. But you did also see how much it meant to his teammates too. His teammates rushed over to him. The manager, Ten Hag, had a big smile because Rashford is right. As I said before, I don't think Wout Weghorst is going to be judged as much on goals as maybe a normal striker would be, because his job's also about pressing, putting in work, generating space for the wider players, drawing in centre-backs, drawing in full-backs. But at the same time, he is a striker and people are going to point out some of his goals. And I mean, he got his goal eventually last night, but I mean, he could have had a hat-trick. Let's be completely transparent and honest here. There is a very, very, very good argument that Weghorst could have had at least 2 or 3 goals. And you do, when you watch him, you have to judge him on a curve. And that curve is he's a 3 million emergency loan signing in January because the striker that Ten Hag had backed in Anthony Marcel hasn't played 90 minutes and we're in March. But you do, it is still Manchester United. So when you get chances, the expectation is that you take them. But he puts in a heck of a shift. He got his goal last night. And for what he's contributed since January, I don't think anyone expected to be this level. I mean, when Weghorst came in, people were going, okay, back up. When Marcel's not available, he can play. He's near enough played every game since he's come in. I don't think anyone expected that. In terms of value for money, we've certainly got it, I think, already, because we've got a trophy. Not necessarily that's just on Wout Weghorst, but we needed a striker, and ultimately, too, we needed to have our most important players playing in the right positions. And Weghorst, by playing up front, does allow Rashford to be on the left or Bruno to be in the 10. Enough of this Weghorst in the 10 thing. I think that, I said this in my fan view yesterday, that maybe Ten Hag got too carried away with that, because he dropped Weghorst into the 10 for the Barcelona game and it really worked. And it kind of took Barca by surprise, and his energy and his pressing was needed in that game. And everyone went, whoa, have we just stumbled upon something that's really going to work out even better for us going on the season? And no, I don't think so. He can play there, but Bruno needs to be through the middle because he's more effective through the middle. Rashford needs to be on the left. He's more effective on the left, and Anthony's on the right-hand side. But again, in terms of a £3 million emergency backup loan signing in January, I do think we've got value for money already. Now, Rashford continued by saying it is a step back in the right direction. We have to build on it again, but we can't put too much emphasis on Sunday because it's gone and we can't change it. So we have to keep moving forward. Now, when it comes to the Manchester United manager, Erik ten Hag, he said, quote, I think we played a very good game in both halves. At half-time, we should have been 3-0 up, but we make one mistake and it was 1-1, which he is right by because, again, first half, I talked about the chances we missed. I mean, we won 4-1. It could have honestly easily been a 7 or 8 with the amount of chances we had last night. And they scored with really their first shot on target, I believe it was. And it's a really sloppy goal. For me, it is handball. You know, I know that by the letter of the law, it wasn't Iosi Perez who was the person who allegedly handballed it. Therefore, the goal doesn't have to be ruled out. They deemed it as accidental. But I think if you see the replay, yes, his arm's down here, but it goes like this. He clearly directs his arm and makes the surface area here bigger to control the ball. He's actively gaining an advantage by moving his arm in that direction or sort of at least shifting his body to ensure the ball is here and he can control it. And I look at that and go, well, to me, there is a clear direction of him trying to control the ball with his arm. That's not handball. Yet in match day 1, Lisandro Martinez goes to block a shot. The ball skips up off his thigh, onto like here, and they give that as handball. And then I'm told last night, well, if it bounces off one part of the body onto the other, it can be deemed as accidental. Well, it wasn't earlier on in the season. So what are we talking about here? Oh, yes, we're talking about inconsistencies when it comes to refereeing. It's not just in the Premier League, which, by the way, the Premier League refereeing is still a joke. I know Howard Webb coming out. We want to pull the curtain back, want to improve it. It's still really, really bad. I don't know what they're going to do with that. There is so much reform that needs to go on with referees in the Premier League, but also in Europe too. I mean, the inconsistency there is baffling. Absolutely baffling. But okay, to Ten Hag's point, it really shouldn't have counted for that much, and ultimately towards the end, hopefully it hasn't when we look at the fixture overall. But at the same time, we should have been maybe 3 or 4-0 up by the time they even scored that goal, and we weren't clinical. And that was my concern as we were going through that first half. And even in the second half, I thought this game should be really put to bed at this point. You know, near enough is anyway, but just that ruthless streak, and it seems kind of crazy to say about when you win a game 4-1, but that ruthless streak still needs to be there a little bit more. You know, just a little bit more. Ten Hag continued saying, we scored some good goals, we gave the fans something to support, and they gave it back, so we are very grateful. It was a great attitude, we were good on the ball, made good switches and runs in behind and created a lot of chances. It's always good to see how the team reacts after a setback. This is not the first time this season we can reset and bounce back. This team has character, so a big compliment to the team. Of course, that team in question was actually the same starting 11. A bold decision by a bold manager, Erik ten Hag, yesterday, by naming the same starting 11, an unchanged starting 11. And it's just funny how quickly football can change, isn't it? Because you look at that team when he names it and you go, it's unchanged. He's stuck with the same players that lost 7-0. But that team was also unchanged from the team that won the Carabao Cup just 7 days prior to that. So I mean, it's surprising because if you get a defeat that bad, of course you would expect maybe changes, wholesale changes. But it's a statement, isn't it? It's a statement by Ten Hag saying, in my opinion, that loss, the manner of that defeat is a freak, is a fluke. You know, it's not the first time we've seen United collapse this season, but to concede 7 goals, it's not because these are bad players, it's because it was a bad day. And I'm saying to you, you got yourselves into this mess, get yourself out of it. The only thing you can do now for all of those players is just play this game, win this game, because even if I take one person out or 2 people out and they don't get back in for a while, how are they going to react? But for them, they've already played a game of football now. It's over. They've moved on. The only thing I would say, and I think this has been the case for the last couple of games, but it was noticeable, I thought, in the Carabao Cup final. I thought it was really noticeable at Anfield, and he did make this change at half-time, is that, for me, at the moment, I'd be starting Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back. I honestly, I would. And it's crazy to be having, you know, this kind of discussion at this stage of the season, because at the beginning of the season, or certainly before the World Cup, we'd be saying that, you know, Dallow's clear, far ahead, Wan-Bissaka's going to leave in January. He's terrible. He's got no touch. Technically, he's just not good. He can't do anything. Ten Hag's taken a look at him straight away and never played him. He's awful. He's terrible. But when the team was named for the Carabao Cup final, I think a lot of people went, Dalot against St. Maximin, that's going to be difficult. He's going to struggle with that. And he did. And Wan-Bissaka came on and he dealt with him. And he was excellent. Same with last night. Dalot came off at half-time. I think there might be an injury there, and I would be a concern about his hamstring again, because that would be the third time that's gone since the World Cup, and that might be a reoccurring injury. But I did think defensively we looked better when Wan-Bissaka came on. Just in terms of one-on-one duels, he's just, he's good. And it's not to say he's perfect, because you go back to the Arsenal result when we lost at the Emirates, and you could argue he was at fault for that third goal, but I just feel like he's playing better. I just feel like he's playing better, or he looks more comfortable than Dalot. And again, I don't know if that's because Dalot's still coming back from his injury, but that would be the one change I would make. And I don't know if he'll go with that at the weekend. I think he might, considering he came off. But I think Wan-Bissaka might be the number one right back. I mean, let me know what you think in the live chat as well. Ten Hag was also asked about Weghorst, saying, for a striker was so close so many times, he has already created chances and goals for others, and he deserved his goal. He also spoke about Bruno Fernandes, of course, a lot of scrutiny. We'll talk about Bruno later on, saying Bruno was fantastic. He led the team with his control of the game and passing, and then he scored a goal. And he also spoke about the subs, saying, I think the substitutes made a good impact, and you see when we made the last two, we made it 4-1. Certainly the subs, I think, really paid off once again last night as well. See what guys are saying here in the chat. Lil Yo-Yo, one of the mods and the members, says he was at fault for the first goal against Asna as well. Chris says we were 100% better when Aaron Wan-Bissaka came on. Fat Thor says, I'd rather keep Aaron Wan-Bissaka than Dalot. Wan-Bissaka has a unique trait where he's unbeatable 1v1. Dalot doesn't have anything special that warrants us to keep him. Wow, Fat Thor really against Dalot. We sell him, we make some money, and we buy another right back. Wow. Tank's talking about Weghorst. Veg's Legs has a fantastic character. Next squad player next season, I hope. So there you go. And be sure to smash a like on the like button. We've got over 500 people watching. Less than 100 likes. Let's see if we can get to 150 out the gate, and then we can see what happens. Who knows what we can achieve this morning? Well, maybe we'll get a reaction as well. Let's get some reaction from pitchside at Old Trafford. First from Flex. Here's his view on the 4-1 victory over Real Betis.
Well, after conceding a silly equaliser, can't ask for much more than that. A nice little comfy cushion to take out to Betis as the snow comes down here at Old Trafford. It's absolutely freezing on this winter. Well, it's not really winter, but it feels like winter on this really cold night. And you know what? Well done, boys. Professional performance in the end. I think we dominated for large parts. Started off so well. And when you concede a silly goal like we did, you're not really sure how you're going to come out second half. The chips have been down. Can you show a little bit of character? Can you calm yourself down? Can you compose yourself? And that's what we did. First half, I thought, we obviously getting the goal after like 8 minutes, Marcus Rashford rifling it into the roof of the net. You're thinking, right, yes, that's exactly what you need after a bad Sunday, obviously, with what happened there. You want to score early. You want to get on your way. And that's what we did. So you're thinking more quality is going to come. But we just didn't really... We just lacked that little bit of clinical nature in the final third, because it was pretty much all us. And Betis score with their first, shot, which was annoying. It could have been prevented. Maybe a little bit of a handball, and maybe David Hare could have done better, possibly. But we're going at half time, and it was quite scrappy after they scored as well. And then you're just thinking, what's our mentality going to be like? And actually, Eric Ten Hag takes off Diogo Dalot and put on Wan-Bissaka, and that was a really positive change. He done really well in that second half, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I thought he was excellent, up and down the right-hand side, calmed everything down, was good in an attacking sense as well. Bruno, I thought, again, he needed that. Captain's performance today. There's a lot of heat on him, gets his goal, but I thought he was good on the ball, especially second half. And then a bit of a free roll. That was interesting to see. Fred was probably the highest midfielder further forward at most of the time. Bruno was kind of dropping deep to pick up the ball off the back four. Sometimes he'd be on the left, sometimes he'd be on the right. He was all over the place, like I said, in a free roll. And to get his goal as well from a set piece, that was a he needed it. He needed it. I saw him afterwards as well. And he's all smiles as well. Look, at the end of the day, you can't say this is bounce back, but this is the first game after a bad defeat. So all you can do is begin to put it right. And that's what I was talking about when everybody was saying, not to say everybody, loads of people online were saying, oh, I can't believe he didn't drop Luke Shaw, I can't believe he didn't drop Anthony. You see Anthony's goal today as well. You know, that was another player who come under criticism for a performance at Anfield. And it's not a like for like in terms of the opposition and now that's it. But I think if Erik ten Hag would have made changes to that team, to me, in my opinion, that would have suggested that he was saying that some players played worse than others when it just wasn't the case. They were all bad. They were all bad. And it's like, you made the mess, you begin to clear it up.
Big up Flex, as always, pitchside there. Look at that, theatre of dreams, snow coming down, pristine green pitch. That's what a scene, what a shot. It's almost like the person that filmed it is a graphics guru, visual ninja. It's just Josh, of course. He's a genius. The man's a genius. And Flex is right. I think we saw a reaction, and Ten Hag saw the reaction that he was looking for from his players. That's why he named the same starting 11. By no means is it a complete, okay, you know, Sunday's fine now, because that was specific to one competition. So when it comes to this coming Sunday against Southampton, make no mistake, if we slip up and we don't win that game, then people are still going to be talking about that 7. People are always going to be talking about that 7-0. And this was what I was trying to get across on the last edition of Matchday Reloaded, is that we can go between now and the end of the season and win every single game. And Lord knows I hope we do, right? But at the same time, we're never going to live down that 7-0. And we're always going to get, I mean, if we haven't developed a thick skin anyway, well, get ready, okay? Continue to develop it, because they're always going to, we're still now, people are still, I don't know about you, every time you sort of post something on social media or every time you go out, and if you know any Liverpool fans, they're still giving it, yeah. That's never going to go away. The only thing that we can do as fans is support the team and back the team. But the only thing the players can do is just start winning football matches again. They did that last night. The next step is do it again at the weekend against Southampton, particularly because that's in the Premier League. And then that can be the 7 that really matters. That can be the 7 that actually counts for something. You know, the Liverpool fans can say 7-0, 7-0, 7-0. But if we win our game at the weekend against Southampton, we'll still be 7 points ahead of them. And to be honest, that's really what the most important 7 in this situation. And last night they did the job. And again, was it totally complete? No, because there were points where I thought, how are we going to react to this? But that's it. And when it comes to Bruno Fernandes last night, I mean, he really had a point to prove, I think. As I've said before, I thought the criticism of him in the media since Sunday was ridiculous at points. As is the case with life, I suppose. It starts off based in reality and based in objective discussion, right? Bruno's behaviour, he wouldn't have been proud of that. And Bruno's performance, yeah, he wouldn't have been happy with that. The entire team was terrible too, by the way. But his behaviour, he's a leader, he's the captain. Was it, attitude and body language and just an all-round behaviour befitting of a Manchester United captain? No, it wasn't. And you're right, or people were right to criticise and point him out and say, hey, we hold you to a higher standard about that. Fair enough. But as is the case with everything now, it's so extreme. It's he shouldn't even be at the club. He shouldn't even be the captain. Get rid of him. And I saw a post on Twitter last night, and it's so true. It goes to show, and I wish I had the person who posted it. I'm sorry I forget your name. But it goes to show just how difficult the Manchester United job is, because you can go from winning a trophy, the first trophy at Manchester United in 6 years. 7 days later, you can lose terribly against a rival, and they're talking about, should you get rid of your captain? Should Bruno Fernandes even be at the club anymore? Whoa! Like, whoa! What happened there? And as Erik ten Hag said, well, of course he's still my captain. It was a game. It was one game. It was terrible results and terrible performance. And I'm sure people had words and conversations, but this was the thing too, is like this, there was so much revisionist history that I've seen over the last 4 days going into that game. I've heard people say that United haven't been playing well this season. I've heard people saying that we've been getting lucky. Bruno Fernandes has been rubbish the entire time he's been at United. Marcus Rashford isn't having a good season. All that kind of stuff. And you go, wait a minute, that's based off one game? Because last night, things went back to normal and everyone was playing how they've been playing for the majority of this season. Marcus Rashford, there's only 2 players in the top big leagues in Europe that have scored more goals than him in all competitions. Mbappe and Haaland. That's it. Then add Marcus Rashford to that. But I've seen people cherry picking and manipulating statistics going, well, in the Premier League, this person's got more than Marcus Rashford, so how good of a season is he really having? Well, wait a minute. Marcus Rashford's playing in 4 competitions. And he's playing in 4 competitions. He's scoring goals in all 4 of those competitions. And it's just this rewriting of history and constantly just trying to, you're shit. You realise you're shit, don't you? Yeah. And yet, going into that Liverpool game, there were people telling us that actually they were worried and afraid about Manchester United, and Manchester United were doing well, and Ten Hag was a good manager. But suddenly, after one game, it's all completely gone, apparently. No, of course it's not. Bruno Fernandes, captain's performance last night, got a goal. He should have had at least maybe a couple of assists if people could finish the chances. And again, to rewrite history this season like he hasn't been playing well, I think is nuts. I think it's crazy. And again, I'm not saying that he didn't deserve some criticism and scrutiny from the weekend because he did. But at the same time, then he deserves praise for what he did last night too. And as I mentioned, I think that I just thought it was just way too far, like constantly. Way too much, way too far. And but that's the case with the media. I'm still waiting for Gary Neville to come out and say, sorry, that wasn't true about him asking to be substituted, because that's been proven that didn't happen, or at least at the very least there's no proof that there's that he wanted to be substituted. And I think it's nonsense. I really is. I think it's nonsense. Some of the criticism since the weekend I think is crazy. Daniel Luciano has been a member for 1 month. Appreciate a month of support. Says it could have been just me, but even after the terrible loss against Liverpool, what is so draining to me is the overreaction of some in the fan base. Well, look, everyone's entitled to react how they want to and see it how they want to. I mean, there's nothing worse, isn't there, when something is going bad than someone telling you how bad it isn't. So people can react how they want to react. What I would say, in my opinion, as I said, the discussion of get rid of strip Bruno the captain, sell him. Rashford isn't even that good. Anthony, he's already a massive waste of money. Whoa. His career has just started at Manchester United. Would it have been quicker and we would have wanted to see more from him immediately? Yeah, of course we would have. But he scored last night. He scored against Barcelona. There's a way to go when it comes to it, clearly, as well. But let's support the players. Let's support the team. The progress we've made this season, I think, is there to be seen. And my goodness me, if you go back to last season, when it comes to, we were nowhere near a trophy. We weren't talking about top 4. Yeah, we're not in the title race anymore. We were never going to win it, but we were at least, the fact that we were looking up as opposed to looking down is a massive positive and a massive step in the right direction. And Ten Hag's only been in the job for however long it is, 9 months, something like that. He's had 2 transfer windows. You can't really even count January that much because there was no money to spend. He's had 1 transfer window. And he's had the Ronaldo stuff going on. And he's had the Sancho stuff going on. And the club's being sold. That's all going on in the background. And despite that, he's managed to win a trophy. You would hope secure top 4. There's still plenty of time to go. We're still fighting for more. This season, as we said after the Liverpool game, can still be a success. It can still be really, really positive from what we thought it was going to be. And there are going to be setbacks. But that's where you show your true test of character. When there are setbacks, how do you react to it? As a player, how do you react? Do you moan and do you let it derail your season? Or when it comes to the next game, do you win? That's it. That's it. You win your next game and you put it right. And as fans, how do you react when the chips are down, when it's tough? You support, you back the players, and we don't, there's nothing worse. We've got pretty much every single fan around the world, certainly in England, that isn't a United fan, bantering us and ridiculing us and laughing at us for that result of the weekend. The last thing we need to do is turn on each other as well, because, we don't need to assist them. They're already helping themselves and they've already got plenty of ammunition. Stick together. Be united. As Ten Hag said, we united, eh? And that's what we've got to be. And that's what will get us to the end of the season. Now let's get some more reaction. I spoke to KG after the game. Oh, man. KG, he's been KG the superstar. Okay, forget Troy the superstar. Troy superstar. KG superstar as well. Because KG's been in various countries. He was at the Ted Lasso premiere. He's now doing something else, which I can't say what it is. But so he's in, I think I'm allowed to say he's in Madrid. He flew to Spain and he arrived there he's lost his luggage. He's got nothing. Fortunately, I think he had a laptop. I don't even know if he had his camera. I think it might just be on the laptop camera. But the soundboard is missing. Okay, it's not good. Soundboard's gone. So not good. And he was very upset about the situation. So yeah, but he still made time to chat with me after the game. And here's what KG had to say.
One is a good result again in the situation that we're in now. And what I've really liked is the arrival of Facundo Pellistri. Facundo.
I knew you were going there because Weghorst gets his goal, and look, it clearly meant. And you've had your issues with Val, you know, not like it's personal. You've had your issues with Val, and his celebration is great because he's really, you can see it. It's pouring out of him, like the snow falling in Manchester. It's pouring out of him. He's like, oh, come on, yes. But you're right. Facundo comes on the pitch, and the goal happens because of him, and it's not the first time that's happened this season.
And he, you know, it's just you start to ask questions like, well, why hasn't he got more involvement, considering you talk about the directness? I'm not going to say he's as direct as Garnacho, but he's showing those kind of traits. He gets on the ball, like in the last eight or something minutes, it's Facundo running down the wing, making the most of it on the right-hand side. Now, I thought we already had the answer to the right-hand side in Anthony, but then this guy just put his name in the hand. He goes, is he the answer? Now, you know, because we haven't answered that question. I think this question's been answered, but Facundo is asking good questions, and I like these questions because I feel that he should be in and around it. He should be closer to it, as close as, you know, when Garnacho comes on 67th minute. We should now see the arrival of Facundo on the right hand side. Personally, for me, I think he deserves it, especially with the season coming to an end and him deciding where he's going to play his football going forward. I think we need to bring him in.
So are you saying then, if we're looking at the forward options, you've got Rashford's on the left.
Because each time we've seen a cameo performance, and yes, it's 7-8 minutes here and there, but they're really good 7-8 minutes. You know, just on the team though, I was really happy with the result today. I think it needed a lot of people don't watch Man United play. A lot of pundits don't watch Man United play, and they just look at the scoreline and they decide how Man United are right now. Now, for the pundits that are not going to watch us, they'll look at it and say, oh, 4-1. Oh, maybe the thingy was a blip, because there was a huge overreaction from the media in terms of, are Man United even good, this, that, and the other? Should Bruno be stripped as captain? Well, you can see why all these players, like, that was unnecessary.
Big up KG. I think I might have actually disconnected halfway through that. I'm not sure. Let me know if you can still hear me and everything's okay in the chat, because I did see for a second there, I got the dreaded sort of, there's like a little light here, and it's either green for good, like orange for medium, and then red for bad, and it went red for ages, and it was like, oh, you're disconnected. I was like, oh. That's not good. So I hope you heard everything. I hope you heard everything from KG. Yeah, but it's all good now. It's the weather. I'm telling you, it's the weather. It's the snow going on surrounding me. It's tremendous. Nevertheless, KG was talking about. What was he talking about? Ah, yes, he was talking about Facundo. Facundo Pellistri. Now, Facundo came on for how many minutes did Facundo even come on for last night? What was it, the last 10, 15 minutes? And to be honest, he came on, he was good. He was really good. And it's not the first time we've seen that. Weghorst gets his goal, but realistically, and Facundo won't get an assist. If anything, I think McTominay gets an assist because it's his shot that's saved. But Facundo makes that. Facundo makes that goal because it's his tenacity, it's his not giving up, and he was just direct, and he came on and he was just running down the right hand side. And I think KG's right, you know. I think that when we're talking about Alejandro Garnacho for the left hand side, and we're saying, you know, 20 minutes left, when you need someone that's going to be direct, you need someone that's going to go at defenders and someone that's a bit unpredictable, why can't Facundo be that on the right hand side? Why not? I mean, we're talking about Anthony, and again, I thought Anthony did well last night. There will be people that will say, you know, I thought first half Anthony was not good. To be fair, second half I thought he played better, but he's a different player. He's a different player to Anthony, because whilst Anthony, you know what he's going to do every single time. He is not going to hug the touchline, run down the right-hand side. He's going to get the ball, he's going to cut inside, or is he's going to just cut back, give it to the fullback, or cut inside, give it to the midfielder. That's what he's going to do. We know that. That's not to say that he does it badly, but you know what he's going to do. And if it's not working, then it just ain't working. But with Facundo, if you've got someone that, again, is a bit more direct, is willing to run around the outside, willing to try and go past the defender with pace as opposed to skill, that's another option. That's something different, and that's an alternative. And as I said to KG in that fan view there, then you start looking at options that you've got in the squad. You say, okay, well, Rashford, he's the star man at the moment. He's on form, and you know, if you're chasing a game or you need a goal, you could argue that you move Rashford into the middle, you take Weghorst off, and you put Garnacho on the left. Okay, Bruno, he's in the 10. He's just going to be the 10 for the majority of the game. And you've then got the decision when it comes to the 10 or the right-hand side, you know, where does Sancho fall into that? But at the same time, Facundo, he's just something different. And he's pacey, and he does play at international level with Uruguay. And, you know, making these noises about wanting to do things for his future, but it's not the first time he's done that this season as well. I remember I know it's Charlton, but I think a couple of times he's come on in these cup games, whether it's the FA Cup or League Cup, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes here or there at the end, but he's looked steady. He's looked good. Now, again, would you start him? No, you wouldn't start him at the moment. He's not ready for that. In the same vein that sometimes when you start Garnacho, you don't get the best out of them. But I think, as KG says, I think he deserves more minutes. And I think he should be breathing closer to Anthony, because I wouldn't be shocked if Pellistri starts getting more and more minutes. And again, it doesn't have to be starting. It just has to be these cameos, you know, keep these consistent cameos. I think he'll start to be a lot closer to Anthony than maybe people think. And Anthony thinks. And that could be best for Anthony too. Part of his problem, I suppose, this season has been that he was brought in. He was, as KG says, he was the answer to the right-hand side. He's Ten Hag's guy, and he knows that. Even if he won't admit that, psychologically, subconsciously, you know, that's my manager's my guy. I'm backed. It doesn't matter. So I think he deserves a shot. I do. And it'll be interesting to see again if he does get those opportunities moving forward. Let's get some more reaction. I spoke earlier on about braving the elements. You saw with Flex's reaction pitchside at Old Trafford that the snow was coming down hard. Bless Marcel, okay? Marcel putting in the work. Big up Marcel, because he braved the elements outside Old Trafford. Here's his thoughts on the game.
And guys, today an interesting performance. The first half, the way Ten Hag has set us up, the exact same team against Liverpool, and he's kind of asked us to show him something, really. The players have done today a really, really good win, but the first half for me was a bit timid. It just wasn't good enough. Still a little bit, nervy from the likes of David De Gea at times. It was really extremely nervy. Diogo Dalot, poor passes at times as well. But overall, when you look at it, first half and second half, really, really good performance. Second half came alive, and that's when the goals kind of started coming in. Bruno with his goal, Weghorst finally gets his goal after obviously the first half missed a couple of sitters from a good crosses from Anthony and stuff. But I was just really happy how the team started to play in the second half. It looked like there was a bit more freedom. Saw Bruno driving with the ball a lot more and in those 10 spaces trying to thread the ball through the thirds. Let's just look at the second half though. Finally seeing, Pellistri, haven't seen him added himself into the game. Dynamic running straight away, breaking past two players. Took the long route round, but still effective in the team, and just was so unlucky to score, to have a nearly chance that he missed. I'm thinking though to myself, Diogo Dalot or Wan-Bissaka. That kind of competition for places, you can see it, it benefits the team. You can see now that in certain games, Wan-Bissaka is going to be the better choice. And then in other games, if Diogo Dalot, if Wan-Bissaka is not performing, Diogo Dalot maybe is the better choice. It was really interesting to see that today. Dalot subbed off at half time, I think was really poor, played a hospital pass to David De Gea, and just wasn't really getting on the ball enough or being dynamic. The crosses weren't great, but he's coming back from injury, so he's coming back from a stint out of the team, so we can give him that. Wan-Bissaka, though, when he comes on, really, really good combination play a few times and some brilliant football, was at the hand of Wan-Bissaka. Really, really happy to see him perform how he did today. Martinez, Varane, solid as ever. We conceded a poor goal, I think, from, the wingers not tracking back. But Martinez and Varane are absolutely outstanding together as a partnership. Very composed. Martinez's composure levels and just the confidence that he gives that forward. We was talking, Ten Hag and Rashford was talking about in the presser, connecting that midfield to the defense and that forward line to the midfield, and you can see how Martinez does that. Really, really good passing through the thirds, and it was so consistent throughout this game.
Man, he looks really cold, doesn't he? Oh, big up Marcel, man. That ain't easy. He's been out there all night chatting to people, holding that microphone. I think at that point his hand was frozen to the microphone as well. But when it's so cold that, like, even when you're talking, like, it's difficult to actually move your jaw around, man. That was tough. Big up Marcel. That's putting in the shift. I mean, round of applause. I would like applause in the chats for Marcel. Tremendous. That was excellent work. He just looked freezing, bless him. Aaron Hall with the super chat, and this is what we are going to talk about since it is Marcel. And since he did bring him up, says, Owen, I'm in Mars W camp. David De Gea needs replacing. Now, to be honest, there you go. Just Josh Media, graphics guru, Visual Ninja has given the round of applause to Marcel. It was he put in a shift. That was very, very good. I don't know what his opinions are on. I mean, he doesn't believe in time or birthdays. He might believe in temperature and snow after yesterday. But big up Marcel. Now, when it comes to David De Gea, look, David De Gea had a performance last night that just fed in to those people that don't like him. Fed into those people that are of the opinion that he needs to go, and of the opinion that his distribution isn't good enough, because you can't hide from it. His distribution was shocking last night. Even for De Gea, it was bad. And he could have cost us the game. Well, he certainly could have put us in a really difficult position last night. One of his passes was the one it was... sometimes, maybe this is different as a keeper, but sometimes when a keeper tries a pass and it doesn't come off, but you can see what they're doing. So they're going for someone where they're trying to hit the fullback, but they're on the touchline, and it goes out, and you go, well, I see what you're trying to do there, but you've overhit it, or you've underhit it, or you've tried to pass it to a centre-back there, or you tried to pass it through a gap to a midfielder, it hasn't worked, or you took an extra touch. I can see what you're trying to do there. His pass, when he passed it, directly to the Real Betis player, I have no idea what he was trying to do there. Legitimately, I don't know what he was trying to do. And you do see it, because sometimes he does receive the ball and you can tell in his mind, and it's kind of the same with Harry Maguire in essence, and those kind of players, that they receive the ball at their feet and you can tell they're nervous. You can tell they're trying to think, what am I going to do? Where am I going to pass it? And some people that are just more natural, they don't have to think, it's instinct. And it still isn't instinct for David De Gea, because it's not going to be, because that's not his game. And I remember in the second half as well, and this was almost just as bad, honestly. He passed the ball out to Lisandro Martinez, and it was a hospital pass. I think a lot of people could see it was a hospital pass, because it gets given the ball Martinez, and he was surrounded by 3 Real Betis players. Unfortunately, you've got someone like Martinez who's good enough and so comfortable on the ball that it was no problem. He shifted the ball out quickly, went past the 3 players, and it was fine. And David De Gea gave him a clap, because I think even he knew, well, I kind of sold him out a little bit there. So look, it I can't hide from that. It played into what people don't like about him. And there's all these discussions about David Raya leaving Brentford at the end of the season with his contract. I think he's turned down 2 new contract offers. So the discussion and discourse will continue with David De Gea. As I've said several times, I do think it's a case of be careful what you wish for, because David De Gea numerous times this season has won us games based on some of the saves that he's made. And I think that other keepers can't make those saves. But at the same time, some people will argue it's a balancing act. And those people like Marcel and Cam, who are very much, he's not good enough, will look at something like last night and say, that's why. At the same time, you could argue, did it cost us though? No. We won the game, and we move on. And we can't do anything about it now. But certainly I'm sure it's something that Ten Hag will think about, because we'd always heard, hadn't we, that he was going to sort of see how De Gea had progressed this season. And I do think, in fairness, his distribution has improved. I do think it has got better. And I do think sometimes, as I was talking about the criticism of Bruno and others earlier, people take it too far. People, will criticise David De Gea, as I mentioned, for a pass that he'll aim for someone that's on the touchline, and it will go out for a throw, and they'll go, "See, De Gea, and you go, "Whoa, okay, I'm not sure about that." That happens, and mistakes do happen with goalkeepers. We've seen it with Alisson, we've seen it with Edison recently too. So it's not just David De Gea, and again, no goalkeeper is perfect. When you play that style of football, where you're actively encouraging your keepers to play out from the back, mistakes will be made. They will. Whether you're a good keeper or a bad keeper when it comes to distribution, mistakes will happen. And it's just a case of whether you're fortunate enough to get away with them. And last night we were. So I still back David De Gea. It doesn't change my opinion, like in the same vein as I was talking about players earlier. One game does not change my opinion on that. And he still makes saves that other people can't make. And I do think there are more important conversations to be held. But people have made their minds up when it comes to that a long time ago. Let's get more reaction, this time from Hayley. She spoke to Paolo inside UVHQ.
Casemiro.
Okay, all right.
If I wasn't taken, and you see if you didn't have a wife, if you perform like that, wasn't it not a good performance?
It was a beautiful performance.
It was beautiful. Beautiful man, beautiful performance.
All right, so in this game, first half, fairly comfortable. Betis, good pressing up the field. We're saying, why is Luke Shaw getting done out there on the left-hand side? We see the goal we conceded. It shouldn't have been, it should have been a handball, really. But then we see Bruno slightly out of position, could have helped out. But what do you think that was there? Because we blame Luke Shaw. People in the comments will say, no, it's not Luke Shaw. Rashford should be coming back. But you said Rashford needs to stay up the field. You good, yeah?
I'm so sorry.
Yes, it's all right. So what do you think went wrong there in the goal we conceded? Obviously, it doesn't matter now. We've won 4-1. But we've had trouble with Luke Shaw in previous games where he's coming a bit too central, a bit too close to Martinez. What do you think went wrong there in the goal we conceded?
So basically, I've managed to see the replay, and I stand by my decision that was Shaw's fault. Okay. Because, let's not get into, first of all, Shaw is a great defender, but I'm just going to be niggly at this aspect of his game, and this aspect of his game, he always inside. Always just inverted. He gives the left winger or whoever's attacking him too much space. Just go out and be aggressive. Yeah. So for that goal that we conceded, he just needed to get out there.
I said of Malacia when he came on. It was a lot more...
Straight away, Malacia said, "Rude boy, you're not getting in my box." No way, no way, Jose. And he dealt with it. So I'm going to just need Shaw. Just be a bit more aggressive, please. Yeah. Not always inside. You're not doing defensive left back. I mean, what's it? Defensive left centre back. Yeah. Today, you was the left back. Play your position. Play it correctly.
Marcus Rashford with another goal.
Sorry to go back. Because why was Martinez doing his job for him as well? Martinez twice had to come over to that side and clear the ball and deal with it because Shaw wasn't. So please, Shaw, if you're watching, because we know United players love United View. It's not a bad, harsh criticism. Just please, brush up on that.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah,
constructive criticism. Yeah.
Polite.
I always look forward to Hayley's fan views because start off talking about Casemiro, if I wasn't a married woman, and then 2 seconds later goes, "Sorry." Man, how could you not love Hayley? She is just the best. She is the best. Big up Hayley, big up Paolo, holding down the fort there at UVHQ. Oh, it really tickled me. Be sure to smash the like on the like button. We're 10 likes away from 200. If you haven't already, click that like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right hand corner. I have so many clips I still need to get to, and I'm running rapidly out of time. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Here's what DJ had said. He talked to Paolo inside UVHQ.
Definitely did. The boys needed a big performance. Look, we've probably harped on about the 7-0 We're trying to put that firmly behind us now. The boys needed a big result today, Paolo, and we got that. Yeah, we got that.
And look, today we kept talking about Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes. We kept talking about these big players today who needed to step up right after the Liverpool game. Everyone was slating Bruno, slating Casemiro, poor first half performance in particular against Liverpool. Who was your standout performer today? Because so many for me. Varane was great. Martinez, Bruno, Casemiro. Who was your main man today for us?
It's difficult because I personally like Martinez today.
Okay.
I thought Martinez was absolutely superb today. And, you know, when you play for Manchester United, when you have a bad performance like we did at the weekend and stuff like that, you know, everything is going to be scrutinised. Everything is going to be magnified. But these players today came in, stepped up. Bruno, for me, probably was the better player, but Martinez does need a honourable mention, and Casemiro as well.
Casemiro was
Rashford was a good, it was a good team performance, and there was a togetherness today. The horse got a goal. He needed that, and you could see how much it meant to him to get that goal. But yeah, I think we got the performance we needed, but the player for me today probably would have been Bruno. Did well.
And I mean, let's talk about Weghorst, because we've said it so many times. This guy gets quite a few good opportunities in the box. He's never really in the right position, but now he's starting to make himself get into that right position in the box, but he's still not enough. He's not tapping in those chances. In this game, he could have had 3 goals, but he gets his goal, and you see the emotion on his face. What do you think that was? Do you think it's that pressure of being a Man United player? You know, we saw the criticism he got on Sunday against Liverpool, and even after, about him touching the
Never Walk Alone.
Never Walk Alone thing. So what do you think that was today, that emotion that was pouring out of him after he scored the goal?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think it is the pressure of being a Manchester United player. This is probably the pinnacle where Weghorst has been able to get to in his career. And that's no disrespect to the teams he played for before, but Manchester United is a whole different animal, it's a different beast, Paolo, as we all know. And obviously, you know, he did get stick, you know, for the Never Walk Alone incident, and, you know, he's not finishing a lot of the chances that he gets given. So I can imagine as a player, you know, mentally that's going to weigh on him a lot more. But today, you know, you could see, as you said, that outpouring of emotion after scoring that game.
Big up DJ, big up Paolo. You absolutely did a fantastic job with the interviews there in UVHQ. And DJ just kind of touching on about Weghorst there. Look, he did touch the "This is Anfield" sign, didn't he? And he said that because there were people saying, "Oh, he supported Liverpool." He's like, "I supported FC Twente as a child," and he was saying that he was trying to brush Van Dijk's hand off the sign. I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's one of those weird sort of social media things. Does it really? I'd much rather he just scores goals, and he did that last night. He needs to be scoring. I think if he's going to have that many chances, you would hope that he's going to put them away. But it was one of those things where I just say, like, again, that was one of those situations again where social media makes a big deal out of something that really isn't that much of a big deal, honestly. Because that can easily just be curved by saying, oh, even if you were trying to brush Van Dijk's hand off, or you weren't, just don't do that next time. You go, okay, that's it. Like, I don't care. Like, who really cares about that? It's those kind of people that are just angry at the world for no reason. I mean, it's not even old man shakes fist at the sky. It's just people shake fist at the sky going, ah, you know. Those people baffle me because they must just be angry all the time. Fat Thor says, "What's this news about the Qataris walking away?" So that was a piece that was put in or said by Kave Solokol yesterday at Sky Sports. To be honest, it seems really dramatic on the face of it, but it's really, really not. It was him just essentially saying that you know, they're not going to be held to ransom over a fee that's very high. Every person involved, particularly the Qataris, are aware that they're going to probably be overpaying for Manchester United in the sense the Glazers want 6 billion, I think it is. But even their offer for like 5 is over the market valuation for Manchester United, but they're not going to be held to ransom completely, and they're willing to walk away if the Glazers push too high. What it is at the moment is just constant posturing from the Glazers, from all of the prospective bidders, whether it's Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos or the Qataris or whoever it may be. It's all posturing to get what they feel is a fair deal. But you know, it to be honest, I think it's just a marker from Sheikh Jassim, which is basically, look, I know you know that I've got a lot of money, but just because I've got that amount of money doesn't mean I'm going to spend a ludicrous amount and give you what I believe isn't a fair deal. So you know, I saw lots of people getting really worried, and you know, this is just what happens. Let's get some more reaction finally with Marcel outside Old Trafford with a few fans, a fan roundup.
How do you think about that midfield performance? The first half a bit up and down a little bit.
Shaky. I think Fred gives the ball away a fair bit.
Yeah.
But Fred's one of them. He comes back in the second half. He works hard. He gets in good positions. He picks up the ball and he plays a few killer passes. Sometimes you never know what you're going to get with Fred. It's one of them. First half, Fred not great. Second half, a lot better. I think Casemiro next to Fred. That's probably our sort of best partnership when Eriksen's not there. But we haven't seen too much of Sabitzer, so we don't know yet. But I'd like to see Sabitzer in the 10, man.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Fred, Casemiro, Sabitzer in the 10.
Fred, Sabitzer, Casemiro. Scott McTominay came in for a little bit. Not that much to really say for himself. What do you think about David De Gea in goal today, first half and second half performance?
I think his kicking, everyone knows what's there to be said about David De Gea's kicking, but in terms of his shot-stopping ability, it's second to none in my opinion in terms of shot-stopping, but the kicking out from the back's not there, and we saw that in the first half. He put us under some pressure. Did we concede a goal? We conceded a goal because of De Gea's kicking, so it's one of them, man. It's not an immediate rush to get rid of him, but maybe 2 or 3 seasons from now, we'd probably look to move him on, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Forward line. Oh, you switched.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan. All right, Jordan. All right.
Surprised.
Yeah. All right, Jordan. I'll speak to you about the forward line then.
Yeah.
Goals. Rashford straight away. First 5 minutes goals. Talk to me about his performance.
Yeah.
He said, obviously, with his presser with Ten Hag, it's about the reset. How about that for a reset? 5 minutes in.
Yeah. I think Rashford came in nicely. He was talking in the press conference about how this was an important game and everyone was going to get together. I thought he was very good. Good to see his goal, you know.
Yes.
Rashford's there for everyone to see. He's one of the most informed players in Europe right now.
Yep.
And I think him, if we can keep this going until the end of the season, we'll be in front.
Big up Marcel, doing great work outside Old Trafford last night. Big up everyone. The team was well and truly teaming yesterday. You've got KG on the other side of the world without his luggage. You've got Paolo and the gang, and everyone was Paolo, DJ, Steph and Haley inside UVHQ. You've got Marcel outside the ground. You've got everyone doing their bit. Tremendous stuff, tremendous work as always. From Team UV, you've got Flex at pitchside. I forgot about that as well. So there you go. What's on tap for today? Well, you've still got all of the reaction from yesterday. Quite a few of the videos actually went up quite late, as is the case with these Europa League games. So you can see all of the fan views in their entirety on the channel at the moment. So there's all of Flex's reaction. If you go to the shorts as well, actually, there's a ton of UV shorts have gone up in the last 24 hours. All of the reactions from Flex for every single goal, where he's there in the media sort of section where you're not really allowed to celebrate that much, but Flex is there. So if you want to see all of his reactions to the goals, just go on YouTube Shorts. You can find it there. As mentioned, we're going quickly into the weekend as well. We've got Southampton at Old Trafford on Sunday. So we've got match previews, we've got match views, we've got fan views, we've got all of the above coming over a busy weekend. And then we do it all again next week. We do it all again. This time we're out in Spain for the second leg of this one. Manchester United seemingly already with 1 foot in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, but still got to get the job done too. So certainly still plenty of work for Manchester United to do. But we move on, we keep going, and the next stage of the bounce back is at Old Trafford on Sunday, no doubt about it. That's the competition that we lost 7-0 in, so we've got to rectify that. And ironically enough, we got a massive victory over Southampton just a few years ago at Old Trafford. Not saying that's going to happen, the same thing, but the important thing is that we win, and we said it right. And we've started doing that with last night's victory, and again, we've just got to move on, certainly. I'm out of it. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. If you're out in the snow today, enjoy it. Stay safe, as always. You might just be somewhere where it's raining, or you might be somewhere it's hot. Either way, smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Join the UB Members Club. New episode of Raw went up yesterday or the day before, whatever it was. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.